The gentleman back there is a terrorist sympathizer that has no business in this building. What is happening in Israel is abhorrent. What is happening to the people of Israel should not be defended.
Ain't nothing changed, nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political maneuvering.
America.
Welcome to the eulogy, eat it up. It's called political buffoonery.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to This Week in DUMBmocracy, where we showcase some of the dumbest newsmakers of the week. So we're starting the week off strong with perennial buffoon George Santos. Now, no, it's not a new indictment. The 23 counts is still there. And no, it's not any of the confirmed lies that he told about his education, his profession, his family, his heritage, or any other extracurricular activity he may have conducted in the past. No. This is all about George Santos in the halls of Congress having a total freakout. A complete meltdown. We're going to get into all of it, but before we do, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and if you like what you see and hear in this show, please be sure to smash that thumbs up button, like, comment, share the show with your friends, all that good stuff. George Santos has been in the news a lot, and you'd think he'd want to keep his head down given the 23 count indictment that came out last week, all because someone approached him about Israel. So the press were just mingling out in the halls of Congress, waiting for Republicans to exit a meeting where the conference was discussing who was going to be the next speaker.
That's still happening?
Yes, this is still going on. But something caught their attention. It was a ruckus down the hall, and let's see what was going on. So I don't know if you heard all that, but I heard words of cowards, effing sympathizer for terrorism, and there's George Santos right in the middle of it all.
Maybe she's just an attention whore.
Look at the video. Mr. Santos, tell us what happened. Absolutely not. The gentleman back there is a terrorist sympathizer that has no business in this building. What is happening in Israel is abhorrent. What is happening to the people of Israel should not be defended. Nobody defending Hamas has any business in this building, whether you're elected, whether you're a civilian. It is a disgrace that we allow people to parade that kind of thought in here.
Did you see the smile on the face of some of the reporters about what's going on here? This is probably more excitement they've seen in the halls of Congress in the past couple of weeks than they've seen all year. It's crazy what's been going on lately between the speaker's race and now Santos blowing a gasket in the hallway. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I don't believe a damn thing that comes out of George Santos' mouth. He's a confirmed liar. We know that he's lied about many things. He's under indictment for fraud. I'm going to invoke the legal rule of falsus in uno, falsus in omnibus. Once you lie to me once, I don't have to believe another thing that you say. I wouldn't believe George Santos if his tongue came notarized.
Fool me once. Shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
So let's see if there's any news reporting about what triggered George Santos.
All right, a very emotional interaction there. You could hear Santos saying no one defending Hamas has any business in the halls of Congress, whether they're elected or they're a civilian. Reporters also caught up with Shabd Singh. He's the man that Santos was shouting at to get his side of the story.
He accused me of being in his personal space, so I took a step back. He was holding a child in his arms and saying that it was inappropriate of me to ask him questions in that scenario. I continued to ask him those questions. He refused to respond. He then found me here in this hallway and accosted me, began yelling at me, essentially framing what I am saying as some sort of anti-Semitic trope.
So he laid hands on you?
He did not touch me.
All All right, so the interaction there, according to sources, the man who's a Jewish D.C. resident was asking Santos about Israel's oppression of Palestinians. The man reportedly kept his hands at his side while Santos waved a finger in his face. That's when Capitol Police stepped in between them, ultimately arresting the man, as you see here, and placing him in handcuffs.
And let's look at the tweet right now that's up on the screen thanks to this Fox News internet feed. George Santos saying, "A pair of terrorist sympathizers got in my face, cursed at me, screaming and berating the baby in my arms."
A likely story.
Again, falsus in uno, falsus in omnibus. How are we to take anything that this guy says seriously? He then went on to repeat the line that he screamed out in the hallway: "Elected or unelected, terrorist sympathizers in the halls of Congress are unacceptable." I wonder if he would think the same thing about congressmen under indictment. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show. So I've already discussed George Santos in the context of my book, Schnooks, Crooks, Liars, and Scoundrels, a field guide to identifying political buffoons, available right now on Amazon, at Barnes & Noble, and other online bookstores. We've discussed how he is the radioactive buffoon, the most detestable, the most irredeemable type of buffoon, because everything associated with George Santos gets infected by that radioactivity, that toxicity that comes with being around him and associated with him. But let's add on to the buffoonery. There are layers of buffoonery that we can add on to. Santos is also acting as a hypocrite here. Who is he to be the arbiter of who can and cannot be in the halls of Congress? This congressional figure that is under so much scrutiny already for allegedly defrauding the GOP, for allegedly defrauding donors, and for admitting to lies that he's said in the past about his education, his professional services, his heritage. It runs the gamut. In fact, there have even been calls for him to resign from his fellow freshman Republican New York class, with a resolution being put forth in Congress, well, at least when Congress gets back to doing business.
After the latest indictment, I think it's clear that he's not fit to serve in the House of Representatives. He's a stain on the institution, and that's why the New York freshmen have come together. He's also a stain on our state.
But on top of the political radioactivity that is George Santos and this now hypocrisy, you can also add lunacy to the list of buffoonery that George Santos exhibits. He is exhibiting all of the characteristics of the irredeemable buffoon that we discuss in the book. As we've discussed before, lunacy involves a complete meltdown, a freakout, and that freakout consists of two parts: the trigger and the emotional hijack. The trigger being his interaction, and the emotional hijack here is the loud denouncement of this person in the context of support for Israel in this war with Hamas. And of course, Santos had to deliver a jab to Rashida Tlaib and the Socialist Squad while doing it. Which, okay, if he wants to throw a jab at Tlaib, I guess it's free game. But at the same time, I now feel like I'm associated with this man because he's agreeing with a point that I did in a video last week. And I don't like the thought of that at all.
I'm forever unclean!
So in that sense, George Santos is lending his radioactivity to those who are supporting Israel in this war with Hamas. This becomes an attack vector now for those like the Socialist Squad who want to talk about guilt by association between those who support Israel and someone like George Santos. He hasn't helped the cause that he's trying to champion because of who he is and because of this toxicity, this radioactivity here. Add on top of that, this freakout, this meltdown, comes in the context of George Santos talking about who should and shouldn't be allowed in Congress when there are federal charges, multiple federal charges pending against him, and calls for his own resignation. It just adds layer upon layer upon layer of irredeemable buffoonery that is getting to the point where George Santos might become the new Al Sharpton.
You've gone way too far. Way too far.
He's got a long way to go and a lot of years to do it, but he's on the radar for that, folks. And that's freaking scary. But hey, that's just my opinion. What do you guys think? What do you think about George Santos' latest news-making event here? Is he right for what he said? Is he wrong for what he said? Do you believe him at all? Let me know what you think in the comments. And please, if you like what you've seen in this video, smash that thumbs up button and share the show with your friends. And while you're here, please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other shows. These are the kinds of conversations I'd love to have on this show, talking about buffoons like this, regardless of what party they're a part of. And I know that a lot of you out there have been getting on me about going after Republicans. We gotta be intellectually honest, everybody. When we run up against a buffoon like George Santos with the magnitude of buffoonery that he is putting out into the public, especially of late, you gotta call it out. You gotta call it down the middle when it comes to buffoonery. There's gotta be bipartisan support to rooting out buffoonery in our political discourse, because it will help out everyone overall, regardless of whatever your party, your political persuasion, whatever issues you champion, whatever issues you detest. If you get rid of bad faith actors like George Santos, political discourse becomes much better and we all benefit from it. I hope that you agree with me on all that, and I certainly hope you keep coming back to discuss all the shenanigans and buffoonery that we find and discuss right here this week in DUMBmocracy.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.